Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sudeep Kumar Das from the NASSCOM KTech Center of Excellence for Data Science and AI. I welcome you all for taking out time for today's AI Parlay. AI Parlay is an initiative by the KTech Center of Excellence for Data Science and AI, which is powered by NASSCOM, and it focuses on creating learning facets for the AI community and exposes them to the voices and opinions of thought leaders on contemporary themes. NASSCOM's KTech Center of Excellence for Data Science and AI, in association with its strategic partner, Genpact, is launching the MLOps Playbook today. It is a compendium of MLOps implementation framework and industry best practices. The compendium incorporates extensive market research outcomes supported by EY as a research partner. With that, I would like to invite Srikanth Menon for the keynote. Srikanth heads the AI and ML practice for Genpact and drives global AI and ML projects delivery with over 24 plus years of experience in analytics. Srikanth, over to you.
Hey, Sudeep, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I represent a firm, Genpact, we are a professional services company focused on BPM, analytics, cloud technology, and we are a global firm. We are in an era where technology and analytics are coming together, and it is imperative that we are the stages of data science sees an end to actuate the insights derived from all the stages. So if you look at the data science life cycle, the end point of the actuating the insights has been, the adoption is very low. And I think more the enterprise moves towards embracing this automation, the more the interest will grow. When we started this journey, we thought NASSCOM is a fabric that connects all categories of companies, whether it is tech services, BPM services, startups, ecosystem, all that. And we realized MLOps is at a stage where DevOps was maybe a few years ago, right? I mean, now DevOps is much matured. Everybody talks about it, and we can draw parallel to that. And how do we bring those practices back into MLOps and make MLOps as a lever to make data science lifecycle successful? So MLOps is, has been there for some time, but it is still at a nascent stage, and there is a need to channelize some of the right thinking into, when you actually develop. It requires some niche skills and a concerted change management, a driven approach for adoption at scale. Be it Genpact, we think we are positioned strategically with a rich heritage of fabric of analytics woven into our large scale operations we do for our Fortune 500 clients. And and to bring in the right perspective, I thought we should channelize the strategic choices in evangelizing the adoption, and that do aggressively for AI. So we decided to come forward and enable the launch of this compendium that the industry could collectively benefit from. It is a playbook which will be launched publicly, and as an industry part of our entire industry, our customers, our partners could benefit from. I want to thank NASSCOM and especially Sangeeta Gupta for giving us this opportunity to partner with. I want to also thank Snehanshu Mitra, who's not with NASSCOM now, but he and I started this discussion 6 months back, and I thanks Snehanshu for that. And then Madhav, who's been holding this entire thing together. Madhav, thank you to you. And I also want to thank our research partners, EY, on this, for a fantastic job on the, doing the research work and what was required. And I'm excited. It's one of the kind, and we are democratizing the entire MLOps implementation methodology and how to derive benefits of productionizing a model to the industry. Hopefully, industries and enterprises will find benefits out of it. Thank you so much, for inviting me for this keynote. Over to you, Sudeep.
Thank you, Shrikant. Thanks a lot. With that, I would also like to tell the attendees that if you have any questions related to this topic, please, key in your questions in the Q&A panel. With that, I would like to invite Achyuta Ghosh to basically launch the playbook. Achyuta Ghosh is the head and the senior director of research at NASSCOM. Achyuta.
Hello, everyone. NASSCOM's KTech Center of Excellence for Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, in association with Strategic Partner Genpact, has put together this MLOps Playbook, a compendium of MLOps implementation frameworks and industry best practices. The compendium incorporates extensive market research outcomes supported by EY as a research partner. The focus group for this survey included a rich set of AI, ML, and analytics professionals with diverse roles such as MLOps project leaders, business leaders, MLOps engineers, and practitioners. The survey brought to light the key reasons for enterprise willingness to adopt MLOps and focus areas to strike a balance in achieving desired return on investment, meeting governance and compliance regulations, and improving quality of solutions were primary reasons to shift to MLOps. Managing infrastructure costs and talent acquisition remains key focus areas for the respondents to enable the ecosystem to solve the challenges in MLOps adoption and to provide a structured way of thinking about MLOps. The report brings to you an MLOps implementation framework designed by Genpact. The framework curated by practitioners is augmented with research findings on best practices for each stage of the machine learning project lifecycle. Change management, and a culture of collaboration are critical elements of adopting and embedding machine learning and analytics at an enterprise-wide level. The report brings to you snippets from leaders on managing, changing, and establishing control and governance. Various initiatives by the government bodies to regulate AI across different sectors have been presented for a better understanding of the current state of the ecosystem. I am glad to announce the launch of this playbook with this launch video.
Thank you, Achyuta. With that, I would like to invite back Shrikant and also introduce Sachin Premnath. So Sachin is a director with artificial intelligence practice of EY, and he has more than 15 years of business and technology consulting experience. Sachin is the product lead for EY's AI platform called A-Space, and has extensive experience deploying AI solutions for clients across sectors and functions. So now I invite Shrikant and Sachin to share the key report findings. Shrikant?
Sure, Sudeep. Thanks. When we started this entire exercise of, creating the best practices, understanding the ecosystem, talking to selective clients in our ecosystem or outside enterprises, and there was a null hypothesis we wanted to test about the adoption, how people are perceiving it, all that. And I think what we thought was what we had as a perception of the industry, or what we saw is what we have been seeing in the industry. As I think the research just confirmed what our thought process was. And I will actually leave it to Sachin, and who's our research partner, because they were heading the entire research findings for us, and talk about some of the key findings from the report. Over to you, Sachin.
Thanks, Shrikant. Can you all hear me and probably see my screen as well?
Yes, Sachin.
Okay, perfect. So now, like how Shrika mentioned, we did a lot of analysis. We worked back with enterprises, industry leaders to understand, what is the current level of adoption of MLOps, where are they facing the current challenges, how have they, leveraged MLOps across the ML lifecycle, right? So, I mean, could be from the data prep, or, it could be related to deployment or monitoring and versioning and so on, right? So now these are just some of the key insights which are captured in the report. Just want to spend a couple of minutes on this. Right. So we found that about 73% of the business leaders across the enterprises who were surveyed feel that MLOps will help them to stay competitive in the industry. That is pure play. With the reasons such as it helps in streamlining of the AI operations, helps bring down cost, improves trust and accuracy in the outcomes. So those are the reasons sort of leading to helping stay competitive. Another key insight, what we found out was about 50% of the respondents believe that the key investments what they have made and typically what needs to be made while adopting MLOps is in the areas of, say, infrastructure and upskilling the existing AI COE teams as they have. Right? And other primary reasons are, like I said, adoption of MLOps results in improvement of quality of the solutions, because you have higher accuracy, and it's a ripple effect leading out to consumers having better confidence in the solution. And nevertheless, it whole boils down to just having method to the entire madness, and which results in the entire COE team, or from the AI team perspective, improves their productivity, right? Some of the key pointers which I would like to focus upon is any enterprise which is embarking on the journey of adopting MLOps typically needs to focus on 6 different functions, right, or 6 different levers. That would be from a data standpoint, training the model or the model deployment. Change management is again a very important aspect, which is often not addressed while adopting MLOps, and of course the governance and the innovation as well, to keep up with the pace. Right? Some of the challenges which our respondents felt while adopting or deploying models into production are, like, for example, typically you would have seen that various different programming languages conflict, the core data quality issues come in, high cost of operations from a cloud standpoint, right? Or typically there will be about certain amount of model drift, and the model poisoning happens, it does not respond to the same data what it was trained on, and so on and so forth, right? Now these are some of the challenges which on the ground which some of the teams faced, due to which it sort of forced them to adopt MLOps as well, right? But that's not where it also should end, right? So I think from a ML adoption or MLOps adoption standpoint, we need to redefine the roles and expectations from each of the AI team members, right? So it could be like data scientists, or it could be data engineers, ML engineers, and so on, right? Now each of these roles need to be re-envisioned, defined, and sort of help track on how they're performing with respect to the shift in in the ways of working when they adopt MLOps. Right? With this, I hand it over back to Shrikant.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you, Sachin, for partnering with us on this. And I think it was great working. And I think some of the key findings were literally on the industry and industry adoption, and the maturity curve is really useful for entire ecosystem to to now it's everybody's everybody has a play, and if we do MLOps in the right way. Sudeep, over to you for the next question.
Thank you, Sachin. Thanks, Shrikant. With that, let's move to the next part, which is the panel discussion. Now, the panel discussion, or rather the topic, is MLOps Industry Readiness and Maturity Assessment. The panel would be moderated by my colleague, Madhav Bissa, who is the Program Director, Data Science and AI at NASSCOM. Before I move on to introducing the other members of the panel, I would also like to highlight that we would seek your feedback with regards to this AI parlay. So I'm just dropping in a link on your chat. Make sure you click on it and share your thoughts and how we can make this better. All right. So before Madhav comes in, let me introduce his other panelists. So I have Vikas Behrani. Dr. Vikas Behrani is Vice President of Data Science at Genpact with expertise in machine learning, NLP, and deep learning, and leads a team of experts in NLP and ML at Genpact's Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning practice. He has over 16 years of experience in statistical modeling, machine learning, deep learning in various industries such as semiconductors, manufacturing, CPG, healthcare, and life sciences. At Genpact, he designs and delivers end-to-end scalable data-driven insights and solutions through advanced analytics and programming tools. Hi, Vikas, welcome. Now, let me introduce the other panelists which I have here. Siddharth Reddy, popularly known as Sid. Sid is currently the global delivery leader for data and advanced analytics at Genpact. Sid brings in over 2 decades of experience with increasing responsibility in building, developing, and managing analytics in the banking and financial services industry. All right, so looks like we have a full panel. Madhav, over to you. Please take away.
Thank you, Sudeep. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this session. Thank you for your time that you have taken out to attend this session. So without further ado, we would like to start the panel discussion. So to paraphrase one of the greatest scientists, who once said that, give me a lever long enough with a fulcrum on which to place it and a base, and I shall move the world. After this focus study, we have got to know that MLOps functions as that lever within that AI domain. So if MLOps is the lever, so what can be the fulcrum and the base? So I would like to start with you, Vikas. In your opinion, what can be the fulcrum and the base in this domain if MLOps is the lever?
Thanks. Looking at any mechanical system, a base gives you the stability in the system, and the fulcrum gives you the efficiency to deliver the outcome that you're looking for. Looking at the MLOps at this point, I think the base which gives you the stability is the people and the skills that you need to deliver. Such a diverse set of skill set that's needed, as discussed before, data engineers, machine learning engineers, data scientists, not to forget statisticians and mathematicians, who actually gives you the complete stability to the system. At the same time, when you look at the efficiency which will be delivered by the fulcrum, that will be your technology. Technology gives you all the efficiency that you need to deliver the MLOps system, to bring the value that you need for your business. So I would say that your people and the skills that you need to deliver are your base, which gives you the stability to your system, and the technology, like any kind of so many cloud technologies are out there right now. The way you deploy your models, the way you monitor your models, the way you assess your models, how accurate those are or what kind of value it's deriving. The technology plays a big role as the fulcrum of your lever. And then, of course, once you take those base and your fulcrum together with your lever, you can derive the value you're looking for.
Lovely. Wonderful. Thank you, Vikas. Over to you, Sachin. Sachin, your thoughts on this?
Good question, Madhav. Right? So it just got me thinking. I think the fulcrum, like what Vikas said, is technology, but then, just to go a bit further to say that, it is, you can think of it like an AI ops platform or MLOps platform, right? And the base is the infrastructure on which the entire operations run, right? So to give an example around this, right? Now, I think all the enterprises are, in best position to determine how much of MLOps adoption and how many features, etc., what is required from a MLOps product, which is nothing but the fulcrum. Now, using that fulcrum, they can now pivot the MLOps on top of it, leading to benefits, something like, improved, reduced time to value, improved ROI on AI/ML initiatives, which again leads to the competitive advantage, right? So in essence, your fulcrum is the AI platform, which is driving the MLOps adoption, leading to these two value adds.
Thank you. So that's your point of view.
Thanks, Madhav. Thanks for this, and NASSCOM for bringing this forum together. So I just want to talk about two trends that we're seeing in the industry today, right? One is obviously everybody would have heard there's a war for talent going on. And the second is the focus on data and how do we leverage data to drive decision making, right? So if you basically simplify it, see, modeling is a complex process, but end of the day, it's primarily data driven. And today, if we look at what's happening in the industry, speed is of essence, right, for decision making. And we need to bring things together to help that out. And that is where I think ML or MLOps leverages the power of machine learning along with the DevOps principles. So if you look at from a war for talent, we are going through shortage of skilled talent, and there is limited availability of these qualified resources. So in my view, if I really look at it, I see banks and the financial services industry kind of leveraging MLOps to optimize operations, as well as look at how do they optimize using resources. The second point is, again, speed and efficiency, like I talked about. That's where MLOps comes into play. And lastly, it's more to simplify the work that we do to drive effectiveness and productivity, right? So MLOps, if I look at it from a machine learning models perspective, I think where it comes into play is basically helping in reducing data management challenges and then also lowering the operating costs, because that's a key problem the entire industry is looking to solve for, right? So in a way, I would look at it as MLOps simplifying the whole journey of predictive analytics, making model building and development smooth, efficient, and continuous. And as models are getting more complex, banks are going to be leveraging big data. They are going to be leveraging multiple sources of data. And this is where the MLOps is going to come in and help in various ways, right? It could be as simple as automating workflows. It could be monitoring and supporting or scaling the nature of work that is getting done. And finally, improve collaboration and communication, right? So having said that, in my view, the future of MLOps is more to look at banks that are struggling in terms of driving efficiencies, and they want to move slowness away. So that's where it'll come into play. It will help organizations analyze data faster and gain valuable insight. And ultimately, everybody is looking to predict faster, take decisions faster, and more or less identify threats that they need to kind of get away with. So more or less, I think that's where MLOps is going to play a key role. And with the war for talent and leveraging large data, it's going to be very helpful and something that everybody is going to be using going forward.
Thank you, Siddharth. So the key takeaway from what we just discussed about the lever base and fulcrum thing, what I understood is that we need to have upskilled and optimum skilled talent force and a platform which enables end-to-end seamless ML ops. So moving on, Sachin, I would like to ask you, from your experience, why do you think there is a need for the organizations to be MLOps ready? So if I can, so we always say that it's battle ready situation. So MLOps ready. So why is there that need?
Yeah, I think the few points, right? So I think, enterprises have been adopting AI across various functions, various use cases, and with the core idea of unlocking further business value, right? And as these teams are scrambling to build large AI solutions, and which typically deal with about hundreds or even thousands of models being trained, evaluated, etc. Now these ML models are growing exponentially. What they realize is that it's difficult to maintain these models in production, because it's easy to go into pilot, but then very difficult to maintain these models in production, update it, check for accuracy, and so on, right? And that's also one of the reasons why we see that only about 27% odd of the pilot projects, typically from an ML, get into production large scale basis, right? Another key reason for ML adoption is that there are a lot of challenges faced in terms of across the ML lifecycle, right? I mean, starting from data quality to model management in production, model versioning, monitoring of model performance, and the governance. Right now, these are some of the challenges in real time which people face, right? And hence it becomes imperative now to focus on the development and operational aspects of the ML lifecycle. In a sense, sort of adopting the DevOps culture within AI implementation, right? And it's not, the focus has already started shifting, wherein enterprises were focusing on pure play data science capability, but are now moving to managing models in production to maximize return on investments and drive further business value, right? And enterprises do realize that there is a need to focus on enhanced code quality, and sustain higher accuracy of prediction in production, and hence are focusing on aspects such as model validation, performance monitoring in production, and retraining against fresh data sets, right? Now these ensure that the results produced by the algorithms when making important decisions are trustworthy, and hence build the confidence among the consumers who are consuming the output of the model, right? To summarize, key reasons to adopt MLOps are to have increased productivity in the AI teams, improve quality of solutions, better governance and compliance, and of course, from a cost effectiveness standpoint.
Thank you. So Sachin, so if I have to summarize, so ultimately it all boils down to one thing, that the senior leadership has to take informed and data-backed decisions, and to ensure that the exponential growth in the models is managed, and the value, the return of investment is realized effectively and at times economically also. So that's the reason the organizations need to be MLOps ready. Lovely. Now we understand there are some challenges in those areas when an organization wants to become MLOps ready. So Siddharth, like you suggested earlier, so would you like to elaborate on the challenges in adoption while an organization becomes an MLOps ready? Would you like to elaborate on that? Whether it's talent or vision or data?
Yeah, so the various things, Madhav, and I've stated it could be talent and then data, but I think it's the mindset. If I have to put on one focus area, it is the mindset change, because typically in the modeling world, whether you look at it at the first line or the second line of defense, change is difficult. So it is that mindset in terms of how do I leverage this to drive efficiency? How do I drive speed? Because speed in decision making is key today, because at times in the AI and ML world, decisions are also being made on the fly. So for that, I think it's definitely, the first thing would be the mindset. And second is, how do you channelize your teams to leverage this and actually drive that overall view that the leadership is looking for.
Thank you, Siddharth. So to summarize, number one is the mindset, which is part of a change management and maybe culture management for overall organization, how they look at MLOps as a way to enhance the value of an organization. And secondly, it will all depend upon the fact that teams have to be channelized. Their energy, the collective wisdom of the teams in the organizations have to be channelized for this. So now that we know that there's a need, we know what the challenges are. So an obvious question will come into our mind is that what's the way we measure those? What's that key assessment metrics? And also, if we were to take on to this journey as an organization, what are the key drivers of this adoption? So Vikas, I would like to request you, from your experience of managing so many clients and delivering that value to them, what are your thoughts on this?
So this is an extremely important question for every organization who is actually contemplating the decision that whether they should, if they need MLOps or not. It depends on that. So this assessment on their current state of the process they are working with is extremely important. So that's what assessment matrix, when you create that kind of an assessment matrix, when you are making a decision, you have to look at the three important aspects that I think are your people, your process, and your technology, to assess that where you are right now, your current state and your future state, where you want to go from there. So when you look at the people, whether you have currently you have enough skill set to deliver the MLOps or to deploy the MLOps within your pipeline. You look at your process, whether your process needs MLOps, because at the current stage, you see that every industry requires MLOps as a part of their process to drive the efficiency. It doesn't matter what kind of process it is. It could be a simple collection process where you are trying to drive the cash flow, improve the cash flow. For example, just for an example, one of our client, we're working with them to improve their cash flow, through their, with working with their finance. So they were looking at how can they improve their collection process to collect the money from their, vendors, so that their cash flow increases. Because a lot of time what happens is that their invoices goes way past due and they kind of lose money on that. They're kind of leaving the money on the table for that. So how can you make the predictions from end to end to actually deliver that value for them? So that's where you see that you have to assess your process. What are the gaps in your process that can be filled using MLOps? And you can actually leverage those technologies which are available, the predictive analytics technologies or other cloud technologies, to fill those gaps. When we call gaps, there are a lot of times there are things like the latency factors in your decision making. So if you want to make a decision in real time or in near real time, it becomes a completely different story than if you are making decision on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. Forecasting usually happens on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis, while something like collections I talked about, I have to make a decision on an every morning, what should be my strategy to collect the money from my invoices. So that kind of makes the whole game different, that how quickly your decisions needs to be made. That's kind of comes into the process. And of course, your technology maturity has to be assessed based on what kind of data you have, what kind of a quality of your data you have, what kind of machine learning platforms that you are using currently, whether you are mature enough to deploy MLOps or not, or what kind of models you are building. Are you monitoring your models or not on a daily basis? Because model erosion do happen. Within 6 months or few months, you always have to see, are there external factors, economic or political or otherwise other factors which are impacting your models, which is kind of degrading your model performance, you have to keep monitoring all those things. So I would say that, when you are assessing your current state, you have to see your people, you have to assess your process, and you have to see that your technology maturity on those items, and then see that on the future state where you want to go and what you need to bring in to deliver that value and deploy the MLOps pipeline successfully. So that would be my opinion, that these three factors are most important when you are creating an assessment matrix.
Okay. Thank you, Vikas. So just to summarize, it all starts with the need. What is the need and why now at that point of time? And then the organization need to assess their own processes. And that's a very good example of the collection study that you just mentioned. And model erosion is was a key takeaway, because we have to understand the models are not perpetual in nature, and these can erode over the period of time. So, which is a great insight, Vikas. So, Vikas, just continuing on to this, what are some drivers do you think for the adoption? So, what are the key areas like skills, infrastructure, governance, and all that an organization should be cognizant of while putting up their MLOps strategy or MLOps frameworks together?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the drivers of the adoption is extremely important, because if you see most drivers like skills, infrastructure, technology, governance, the methodology, how they want to deploy these MLOps pipeline are extremely important. But as I agree with what Sid said, is that the one biggest challenge or a driver of adoption would be your culture. You need to have a culture of change within your organization to actually drive your MLOps pipeline deployment successfully. When we say culture, because especially in the process industry, when you see processes are so streamlined for such a long time and delivering value at a certain number of efficiency levels, driving a culture of change is extremely difficult and challenging. So when you want to adopt MLOps within your organization and within your process, you have to change that mindset, as Sid said. You have to bring that mindset change, that saying that you have to bring that culture that this change is going to not impact the overall kind of the process, but it's going to improve the efficiency of the process and the business itself. So while skills, infrastructure, technology are the enablers, the mindset change and the culture change is the extremely important piece, which is going to drive the adoption of MLOps within the industry.
Thank you so much, Vikas. So while listening to all of you in the panel, I just realized that it all starts with a mindset. So if there's a need, once the need is identified, the organizations need to have that mindset, that adaptability to a new culture that has to be there, with channelizing the team efforts, and then understanding what are their own strengths and weaknesses while doing that, or what we call SWOT. And then, of course, we discuss upon model erosions and all. So lovely. So thank you so much, Vikas, Siddharth, and Sachin. Now we will open up the floor for some questions from the audience. So the first question that I've received is, what are some of the security concerns with MLOps that different industries face? Vikas, starting with you, what do you think? What are some security concerns?
Security concerns.
Yes.
Okay. So security concerns, I think one of the big security concerns, within the banking industry that we have seen, or any other industries, that any kind of a data which contains a PII information, the organizations are a little skeptical about overall MLOps pipeline, because this pipeline would have a number of different pieces stitched together, and more often than not, it will be in cloud. So what we see is one of the people actually doubt that how secure my data is in cloud. But with the advent of Azure or AWS or Google, you can see that their securities are highly encrypted, and then the data is quite secure, and that confidence is getting built up that your data will be secure. So one of the biggest challenge people see in adopting, of course, is that whether my data is going to be secured in or not. That's why a lot of organizations I see that are kind of ask for us that can we do this on-prem rather than on cloud? Is one of the security concerns that I see, in my opinion.
And Madhav, I'll just add to
Yes.
what Vikas added, right? I think another one, and it's evolving, and we will see more of it, is the whole concept of ethical AI and ML, right? And it's basically how do we drive it and how do we look at it, and that's going to come up. And again, it's important because banking is a heavily regulated area, and it's also important that the regulators buy into this whole concept, and that's the reason of ethical AI and ML is also coming into play. So that's another thing that we need to keep in mind as machine learning goes from where it is today to the future, right? So that's another important thing that will come up.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you for this. And yes, so we all know that Genpact has a very strong and effective ethical AI, responsible AI practice. So coming from that point of view, this is quite insightful. So just continuing on this, Siddharth, so I would like to understand, so while we are talking about responsible AI, we are talking about security concerns and all. So are there any changes that are required to the data layer for implementing MLOps? And this is just not from the security point of view, but from the entire framework point of view. So what kind of changes are required?
So I wouldn't say, I wouldn't look at it more from a what changes need to come in. I would more look at it as how do you define what to leverage and what are the boundaries that you want to put, right? I mean, the whole multiple avenues of data that is available, what is applicable, what is not applicable. It's easy to go overboard in saying, okay, today I'm using 10 variables, 20 variables, tomorrow I want to use 100 variables to make my prediction as precise and as accurate as possible. But there is a point beyond which you can go from 100 to 1,000, but the accuracy and the criticality that you're going to look is not going to make that much of difference. So what becomes important is your speed to decision. And for that, what is the right set of data that you need to use to and end of the day, that is what the clients or the businesses require in terms of making a decision using the right data inputs.
Sachin, your thoughts on this, the security concerns and the changes required to data layer. What do you think in your experience, from your experience, what are some perspectives that you have?
Yeah, so see, from a security concern, I echo Vikas's thought around to say that from a PII standpoint, it really helps the AI ops approach because often we use data which has a lot of personally identifiable information, and breaching that, then we have a lot of regulatory concerns, GDPR, and so on and so forth, which actually hits us. So it's in a way it is like a firewall, an AI ops program to prevent that. So that's my view.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the top of the hour, and if there are any questions, you can send those questions directly to us, and we can get the answers to you, esteemed panel members. So, after listening to the panel members and our lovely introduction by Srikanth and Sachin earlier regarding the MLOps, so what we realized that if what we have just spoken about, if all these points are taken into considerations, then we can go ahead and confidently say that MLOps is actually the lever to revolutionize the AI domain. So with that note, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for your time to attend this session, and we look forward to your attendance, your presence in the future sessions. Have a lovely week ahead. See you. Stay safe. Goodbye.
Thank you.